Welcome, Haribol, Madhavendra Prabhu. See you nicely after a long time. Thank you for coming. And everybody else for coming this evening. Not so many are here at the moment. Maybe more will come, I don't know. Let us see what Krishna's plans are. So today is the holy occasion of the Tirobhav of Madhavendra Puri. Very important event in our Vaishnava calendar. Just before the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we've just had the disappearance today. The disappearance of Ishvara Puri also. They're all related. So this evening we'll try to discuss something about Madhavendra Puri. You'll have to turn that one down. He's super enthusiastic. A bit difficult without it and difficult with it. We'll survive. So we're going to read something this evening from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then we'll hear something about the wonderful account of Madhavendra Puri's devotion, a little bit that's mentioned here. One who hears, Kaviraj Goswami, the author, says, one who hears this narration with faith and devotion attains the treasure of love of Godhead at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. So it's worth hearing, because it's by hearing that we develop the taste, our hearts become cleansed. So let us hear something this evening, but first we'll sing a little introductory song. I don't know if you have it. In the songbooks, you have the songbooks here. We have the songbooks here. This song is traditionally known as Yaya Nilo Premadana. That's not the actual title, but that's what we address it as. If you have a songbook, it's on page 69. 69. Called Ye, or J, it's pronounced J here, written J. Ye Anilo Premadhana. Lamentation. Missing the association of the associates of the Lord. The lamentation which we experience in the material world entangles us further in material life. The lamentation in separation from Krishna or his pure devotees releases us from the material life and attaches us to the spiritual. So it's natural that one laments when somebody very dear to us departs. Sometimes children cry even when their father goes to work. Feeling of separation. So that of course is material. When that same tendency to lament is transformed towards the association of pure devotees, it becomes purifying. Page 69 in this one, 69. Maybe your books are different, I don't know. Huh? Okay, so some books are 69, maybe some are 70 something else. There's no one more dear, of course, than the devotees of the Lord. Materially, people may be temporary dear in this life, but the devotees of the Lord are eternally dear. Premadhana Puruna Pacho Nilo Prema Madhya Corona Pacho Nilo Prema Madhya Eno Prabhu Kotagela Chaya Sako Eno Prabhu Kotagela Chaya Sako Kaha Sanatha Kaha Moya Sarokupa Kaha Sanatha Mahadasa Bhagana Patita Kahamora Pata Yuga Kabira Kahamora Pata Yuga Kabira Ekakale Kotagela Natana Ekakale Kotagela Pasare Uchibonaka Hanale Hashibo Hanale Hashibo Kunera niri kota geleta Kunera niri Kesava Sandhira Sangye Yekoyo Vila Kesava Sandhira Sangye Koyo Vila Sesanga Napaya Kande Narottama Napaya Kande Narottama Madhavendra Karuna Kasho Yeyanilo Madhavendra Karuna Kasho Ino Prabha Kota Kela Saya Tako Ino Prabha Kota Kela Saya Tako Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Panchatattva ki, Shishivaro Madhava ki, Madhavendra Puri Tirubha Mahotsav ki, O Premanandi, all glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glorious to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. We'll read from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter 4, and we'll see, we'll read probably we'll tell the story, I guess. We'll hear the story of Madhavendra Puri a little bit in brief, and then we hear some of the words of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This story was told, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told this story, Nityananda also. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyasa, he traveled to Puri, and on the way they came to Ramuna. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Veta Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Veta Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Veta Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Veta Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jai 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 Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Veta Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Veta Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Veta Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Veta Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. Invocation. Let's go to the beginning of the chapter. Yasmaidatum Choryan Shirabandam Gopinata Kir Chorabido But Shri Gopala Padurasit Pashakasam Yatre Natang Madhavendram Natosmi. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Madhavendra Puri, who was given a pot of sweet rice stolen by Sri Gopinath, celebrated thereafter Shirachora. Being pleased by Madhavendra Puri's love, Shri Gopala Govardhan appeared to the public vision. Invocation. So, just in brief, the story. Madhavendra Puri, he was a great devotee in our disciplic succession. We'll hear later on how he connected to our disciplic succession. But he took sannyas and he was traveling widely. Records are not there, very little information is there of his travels, of his life, of his history. But we do have quite a extensive description in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which was passed down through Ishwara Puri to Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya. They received this, let's say, nectarian topics concerning Madhavendra Puri, because by hearing the topics of these eternal associates of the Lord, one develops great confidence and determination and satisfaction also. Helps us very much to imbibe, to hold on to pure devotion, or to take up pure devotion. Reading the Prabhupada Leela Amrita the other day, I don't know which program we were at, but there was one Australian man, he said he was convinced to join this movement because he read the Prabhupada Leela Amrita. Prabhupada's life. That convinced him. So this subject of hearing great devotees. So Madhavendra Puri, we're just, before we go on, all these are eternal associates of Lord. Madhavendra Puri, Ishwara Puri. They appear in this world for the Lord's purposes. Madhavendra Puri is a very unique position in devotional service. Usually we hear that the eternal associates of the Lord are manjaris of Lord Chaitanya, we mean. Manjaris, or they may be in Sakya-ras friendship. But generally, at least those of Lord Chaitanya, they're Manjari Bhav. Whereas the associates of Nityananda are more in Sakya Bhav friendship. There's overlapping, but generally like that. And Madhavendra Puri is very unique because one of the purposes of Lord Chaitanya, or one of the statements regarding Lord Chaitanya's appearance, is that along with his associates, the Panchatattva, they danced, sang, and performed Sankirtan. This way they made it easy for people to experience the four transcendental mellows of devotional service. And that is, you could say, as we heard earlier on, the seed, the initial seed of this spirit, this purpose of Lord Chaitanya, was planted by Madhavendra Puri, because he is known in the spiritual realm as a Kalpavriksha tree. I don't know if any of you, of course we don't have any position to think like this, but sometimes what we say, our boy-like, our childlike minds, we think about being, something in the spiritual world, but being a Kalpavriksha tree, probably not. A Kalpavriksha tree. What is a Kalpavriksha tree? Wish-fulfilling tree. So by the grace of Madhavendra Puri, no matter what one's relationship with Krishna is, by his association, by his instructions, that can manifest. It can actually fructify by following their instructions or by associating with them. That's the result of their association. So let's try to associate a little bit by hearing a bit about his pastimes. Madhavendra Puri was traveling mendicant. Wherever he'd go, he would never eat anything unless somebody offered it to him. He would never ask. Never. He depended entirely upon Krishna. Entirely. He gave up all formalities for family life and society. He didn't have any interest in basically what people thought of him. He was so absorbed in his love for Krishna. So eventually he came to Vrindavan. Many of you have been to Vrindavan. Who've visited Vrindavan, at least you could say on the external plane? How many of you have been there externally? 3, 4, 5, 6. Only externally. Internally is another thing, of course. But externally we go there, and by associating externally with those who are internal, we can also become. So Madhavendra Puri is an eternal associate of Vrindavan Dham. So by hearing about him, we can get a little bit more internal. So his mood was completely, we'll hear later, but completely, absolutely sold out to Krishna, unalloyed devotion. When he came to Vrindavan, of course, he's swooning in ecstasy. And when he came to Govardhan Hill, his ecstasy could not be contained. And he was completely, captivated there in devotion. And he stayed at a place called Govinda Kund. He went to Govinda Kund. And Govinda Kund, on the Parikramā, when you go around Govardhan, is at the other end from Radhakund. At the other end of Govardhan, towards the end, is Govinda Kund. You've seen Govinda Kund? You probably did. You may remember or not, but Govinda Kund is quite a large kund. It may be one of the largest. Manasi Ganga is the largest, but it may be the next largest kund on the Parikramā, I don't know, but probably. It's a large square, more or less a square kund. Now it's been built like that. So Madhavendra Puri stayed there, just worshipping the Lord and meditating and chanting his glories, absorbed in loving affection for the Lord. And he'd been fasting for a long time. And whilst he was sat there, absorbed in his bhajan, a young cowherd boy suddenly turned up, one of the local cowherd boys. A lot of cows and buffaloes in that area, even now. This boy came, he had a pot of milk. And he saw Madhavendra Puri. "Oh, Gosai, please, take this pot of milk. I know you've been sitting here fasting for many long hours. Please take this." Madhavendra Puri was surprised. "How do you know this?" That some of the local cowherd girls were passing by and they've seen you here for a long time. So they sent me here with this milk to offer to you. Please take it. I will come back later to pick up the pot. Madhavendra Puri was kind of a little bit bewildered. This boy seemed a little unusual. But he accepted the pot. The boy ran away. He said, "Now I have to quickly go and I have to bring the cows back to the village." So he ran away quickly. Cows back to the village. He ran away. Madhavendra Puri then honored that milk like it never tasted like nothing of this world. And he was still there performing his bhajans, waiting for the boy to return, but the boy didn't come back. Madhavendra Puri chanted throughout the night, and just before dawn, he just tiny little rest, and suddenly that boy appeared to him in a vision-like dream. But he wasn't just that little boy from the village. He appeared, and then he appeared as none other than Gopal himself. "My dear devotee, please, I beg you, please help me. I've been hidden in a bush, in the jungle near here for many generations. I've been suffering the rain and the wind and the cold and the heat. Please release me. Please bring me out of the jungle and install me on top of Govardhan Hill." And then the deity also said, "Bring the villagers." Then Madhavendra Puri suddenly awoke. Oh no, the Lord of my heart appeared before me. I didn't recognize him. Then he immediately went to fulfill the order of Gopal. And he went to the village and he told all the local villagers about what had happened. Those days they were very faithful. They knew he was a great saint. So they immediately accompanied him to the jungle, deep into the jungle near Govardhan Hill. They cut their way through the thick forest with machetes and various other choppers, and eventually he came to the spot where Gopal had revealed that he had been hidden by his priest, had hidden him many, many decades before because of the attack of the Muslims. So he hid him in the jungle, and then the priest ran. So that way to protect the deity from the Muslims. So then they found the deity, this huge, beautiful, blackish deity of Gopal. And everyone was astonished. They saw the beautiful form of Gopal. And Madhavendra Puri arranged for many men to carry the deity. They removed all of the thorns and twigs and dust and everything and reached the deity. And then they carried the deity up on top of Govardhan Hill. And we don't go on Govardhan Hill, but if the Lord orders us to, then you have to. So they took Gopal up onto the hill, and on top of the hill they made a platform. And Madhavendra Puri placed the deity on the platform, then cleansed the deity with all kinds of oils and cloths and so on, and Abhishek was performed. A great Abhishek was performed, and Gopal was installed on top of the hill of Govardhan, and the temple is still there, the old temple, which was later on built, of course, to worship Gopal. And then the great feast is very near to where Krishna himself lifted Govardhan Hill, and where the great Anukut ceremony was held by the residents of Braj when Krishna was there, Govardhan Puja ceremony. And then how huge numbers of preparations the villagers were bringing to offer to Gopal. Like this, the deity was installed. Different villagers were bringing daily different offerings for the deities. He trained up various devotees. Of course, dresses were made, and then a temporary temple structure. Later on, a proper structure was made, and he trained up some local Brahmins, initiated them into Vaishnavism, or Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Not at that time, not Gaudiya Vaishnavism, but the line that we're in, Madhva Sampradaya, to worship Gopal accordingly. And like this, the worship was going on. Then one night, Madhavendra Puri again had another visionary dream when he dozed off for a few minutes. Again, Gopal appeared in his dream. My dear devotee, I'm so pleased with you, but I'm still suffering fever from being in the jungle for so long. I'm so hot and feeling feverish. Please, please, please release my fever. I want you to go to the south of India to collect a large quantity of sandalwood paste to massage all over my body. So then when Madhavendra Puri immediately awoke, and he immediately realized that Gopal, this was his order to him, so he left the worship of Gopal in the hands of the trained up devotees. Then he left alone, completely alone, walking thousands of kilometers into the south of India. And on his way, he didn't go straight south. Actually, it was in Jagannath Puri that he collected the sandalwood for various reasons. We'll hear in a minute. So he went in a different direction. He went more southeast. And he ended up in a village called, didn't end up, but he reached a village called Raimuna. Raimuna is a very unique place. It's a wonderful atmosphere. Anyone been to Raimuna? Some of you have been. One hand has gone up. Raimuna is really worth a visit. It's about halfway between Calcutta and Puri, more or less. It's near the railway, a town called Balasore, it's a railway station. From there, I don't know if they have cars now. They had no cars when we were there. We went by rickshaw. A few times we've been there. Maybe now it's about 25 years I haven't been there. So a beautiful, quiet little village, really. And in that village is a beautiful temple. is a beautiful temple of Gopinath. Beautiful deity of Gopinath. Now, this story, by the way, is being told by Lord Chaitanya after he took sannyas. He went to Puri, and on the way he also stopped in Ramuna. And when they were there, Lord Chaitanya told his associates this story. So this deity of Gopinath is very famous. They make some amazing preparations. It's famous throughout the entire Vaishnava world. It's kheer, it's condensed milk preparation, but it's like no other condensed milk preparation. It's just, even now, I don't know now, I haven't honored it for a while, but in the past when we've had the opportunity to honor that prasadam, it's just like no other kheer anywhere. Everyone tries to imitate. It comes in little clay cups. And they offer lots and lots of this kheer to Gopinath. So Madhavendra Puri had heard about this kheer, and he was thinking he would like to be able to offer a similar preparation to his deity of Gopal. So he arrived in Ramuna, and he arrived just in the evening when Aarti was taking place. And he was, when they do the Aarti, they leave the kheer on the altar during the Aarti. It's already offered, but they leave it on the altar. So he was seeing the kheer on the altar, and he was thinking, if only I could taste a little of that kheer, then maybe I could understand how to prepare this for Gopal. But then he realized the pots are still on the altar. What offensive mentality am I having? I'm thinking of tasting, and still the preparations are in front of the Lord. What an offender I am. He felt a complete offender. As soon as the Aarti was over, he immediately left the temple and went to the marketplace to stay there the night with no more ado. He didn't get any of the kheer. He felt himself too offensive. So he went to the marketplace, and he was going to stay there all night before proceeding the next day south, directly south. So and during the night, whilst he was at the market, the priest of Gopinath, who was resting, suddenly he had a dream. And in his dream, Gopinath appeared. Said, "Wake up. Wake up, my dear priest. Wake up. I want you to go down to the deity room now, my deity room. I want you to go in. I have stolen one pot of kheer. I have hidden it under my dress. I want you to take that pot and take it to the marketplace and give it to Madhavendra Puri, my dear devotee." The priest immediately woke up shocked. He took a quick bath, lit a lamp, went down to the... devotees were completely faithful, you could say. Went down to the temple room, and sure enough, he looked inside behind the deity. There was one pot of kheer from the offering, stashed behind the deity's dress. He took that pot, went down to the marketplace, and he called out, "Is there anyone of the name Madhavendra Puri here in the market? If so, please come forward. Gopinath has sent something for you." And eventually Madhavendra Puri was surprised that there's no one around. It was silent. Yeah, what? "My dear sir, are you Madhavendra Puri?" "I go by that name." "My dear sir, you are so fortunate." He paid his obeisances to Madhavendra Puri. "You are the most fortunate. Gopinath himself has stolen a pot of kheer for you and ordered me to give it to you. Please accept this kheer." Madhavendra Puri was completely overwhelmed. He was stunned. He was like, he didn't know how to respond. And then the priest left. He accepted the pot, just completely absorbed in his meditation on Gopal and Gopinath. He took a little of that prasadam. It was like nothing he'd ever experienced before. And he kept the pot after honoring that little prasadam. And he immediately left, because he thought that if I stay here, maybe this news will be made public and I will become famous. This will be a disaster. a disaster for my devotion. I must leave immediately in case I'm praised. He couldn't tolerate being praised. He immediately left, but he took the pot with him, and each day he would eat a little of the clay pot. I remember the first time I got Raimuna Maha was in 1977, when God brother named Shastra Chaksus went there. I didn't go. He went there and he brought me a pot of clay of this Raimuna Kir, and we were very sort of, what do we say? I don't know what you can say, fanatic maybe. So I did the same thing. I just kept that pot and just ate a little bit of clay every day for about 2 weeks until I'd eaten the whole pot. So then eventually Madhavendra Puri reached Puri, going through the jungles. He didn't go on the highway in case people saw him and they may have heard of his fame. So he went and arrived eventually in Puri, but by the arrangement of the Lord, fame precedes the devotee. So that by the time he got to Puri, the devotees in Puri had heard about the amazing pastime of the deities stealing kir and giving it to Madhavendra Puri. So when they found out that he'd arrived there, they were already aware of this pastime, and they were all honoring him. There's nothing he could do. It was unavoidable. And then the attention of what his mission was came to the attention of the king of Puri, and he immediately arranged everything that was required for Gopal's service. All the sandalwood, over 30 kilos of sandalwood was given to Madhavendra Puri, plus about 8 ounces, I don't know what that is in kilos, about 8 ounces of camphor. And Madhavendra Puri, after being in Jagannath Puri for a little while, the king arranged all the clearance papers to go through the various toll gates and so on the way back to Vrindavan. And Madhavendra Puri set off alone again on his journey back to Vrindavan, carrying quite a heavy load, over 30 kilos on his back. Now when you're walking for long distances, that's a fairly heavy load to carry. But he took it as a great blessing. He walked back, and again he went through the village of Raimuna on his way back, and he stayed there. Everybody was so happy to see him, and of course he was able to honor some kir prasad whilst he was there. He stayed for the night. He rested for the night before proceeding on, and during the night Gopal appeared in his dream. And Gopal said, "My dear devotee, there is no need for you to carry this sandalwood all the way to Vrindavan. Gopinath and myself are non-different. Please stay there and massage the deity of Gopinath with this sandalwood. That will relieve me of my fever." And when he woke up, he realized this was Gopal's desire. He told the priests they were all in ecstasy because the hot season was upon them, just at this time of the year, maybe a month later, April. Then they started massage. Every day they massaged the deity with sandalwood. Madhavendra Puri personally was doing the service for a long time, many weeks, massaging the deity every day with sandalwood until all the sandalwood was used up. And then Gopal was completely relieved. There's no record of Madhavendra Puri going back to Vrindavan. There's no record of his going back, although maybe he did, I don't know. In this way, Madhavendra Puri's devotion was glorified by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is a brief story. So we're just going to take up a little reading here. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Madhavendra Puri was so fortunate that Krishna appeared to him on the plea of delivering milk. 3 times the Lord gave orders to Madhavendra Puri in dreams. Being obliged because of the loving affairs of Madhavendra Puri, Lord Krishna appeared as the Gopal deity, and accepting his service, he liberated the whole world. On account of Madhavendra Puri, Lord Gopinath stole the pot of sweet rice. Thus he became famous. The deity became famous as Shira Chora Gopinath, the thief, Chor, the thief, Makhan Chor, the butter thief, Shira Chor, the thief of Shir, Shira Chora Gopinath, the thief who stole the kheer, or sometimes we call it sweet rice, but actually there's just condensed milk. Madhavendra Puri smeared the sandalwood pulp over the body of Gopinath, and in this way he was overpowered with love of Godhead. In the provinces of India governed by the Muslims, there was much inconvenience in travelling with sandalwood and camphor. Because of this, Madhavendra Puri might have gotten into trouble. This became known to the Gopal deity. The Lord is very merciful and attached to his devotees. So when Gopinath was covered with sandalwood pulp, Madhavendra Puri's labour was successful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu placed the standard of Madhavendra Puri's intense love before Nityananda Prabhu for judgment. All his loving activities are uncommon, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Indeed, one is struck with wonder to hear of his activities. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, Sri Madhavendra Puri used to remain alone. He was completely renounced and always very silent. He was uninterested in everything material, and for fear of talking about mundane things, he always lived without a companion. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Mathura, he went to Mathura later on, and he stayed in the house of one Brahmin there. This Brahmin, when he first saw this Brahmin, the Brahmin, when he saw Lord Chaitanya, went into ecstasy. Brahmin was not from a very high-class Brahmin family, but he was a Brahmin. He went into ecstasy. And Lord Chaitanya was wondering, who is this Brahmin? So then Lord Chaitanya inquired as to the position of this Brahmin. Who are you? He said, I am a very lowly servant of Madhavendra Puri. He was one of the disciples of Madhavendra Puri. Lord Chaitanya offered his obeisances to the Brahmin. The Brahmin was embarrassed. No, he offered his obeisance, of course, to Lord Chaitanya, who was a sannyasi, and the Lord himself. So then they embraced each other, dancing together because of the ecstatic love that this Brahmin was experiencing because he had been associated with Madhavendra Puri. And Lord Chaitanya said, religious principles, the behavior of Madhavendra Puri is exemplary. Religious principles are established by the behavior of the devotee. And Madhavendra Puri, he himself, has established true religious principles, not just some dogmas, but the actual behavior which one should follow. After receiving the transcendental orders of Gopal, the great personality traveled thousands of miles just to collect sandalwood. Although Madhavendra Puri was hungry, he would not beg food to eat. This renounced person carried a load of sandalwood for the sake of Gopal. Without considering his personal comforts, Madhavendra Puri carried about 82 pounds, as I say, that's a little bit more than 30 kilos, of sandalwood and 20 tolas, 8 ounces of camphor, to smear over the body of Gopal. This transcendental pleasure was sufficient for him. The service was sufficient for him. He was so satisfied to take on this burden. When we say burden, we don't mean in the sense of something he didn't want to do, but this task, his heavy task for the pleasure of Gopal. This was his great satisfaction, to undergo this austerity for the pleasure of Gopal. That austerity was his pleasure. When we take on austerities in devotional service for the pleasure of Krishna, that is a highest pleasure. Since there were restrictions against taking the sandalwood out of Orissa, the toll official confiscated the stock, but Madhavendra Puri showed in the release papers given by the government and consequently escaped difficulties. Madhavendra Puri was not at all anxious. You will believe it or not, but this is not there now. But when we would go in the 70s, I don't know, maybe even the 80s, even from Vrindavan to Calcutta, we would do the shopping in Vrindavan, buying all the clothes for the temple in Malaysia, or wherever we were going at that time, and all the various items. You couldn't do it. There was taxes. You'd be stopped on the train. They would search your bags to see if you had anything from Uttar Pradesh. When you went into Bihar and then again into Bengal, you had to pay taxes. They would take you into a particular office. They'd measure everything. They need to see the receipts. You have to pay tax and everything to take it from one state to the next in India. It's not like that now, but it used to be. This is the real nature of intense love of God. The devotee does not consider personal inconveniences or impediments. In all circumstances, he wants to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the standard of devotion of Madhavendra Puri, amongst others, which are exemplary. Sri Gopal wanted to show how intensely Madhavendra Puri loved Krishna. Therefore, he asked him to go to Nilachal to fetch sandalwood and camphor. With great trouble and after much labor, Madhavendra Puri brought the load of sandalwood to Ramuna. However, he was still very pleased. He discounted all the difficulties. To test the intense love of Madhavendra Puri, Gopal, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, ordered him to bring sandalwood from Nilachal, that's Puri. And when Madhavendra Puri passed this examination, the Lord became very merciful to him. We're all taking this examination. It's not the Bhakti Shastri exam, by the way. It's the examination of our attitude. What is our attitude? It's not the service you do, but the attitude in our service. That is what Krishna, that's the test. What is our attitude? Are we doing it with the right attitude or not? That's the test. That's the test we have to pass. Such behavior exhibited in loving service between the devotee and the devotee's lovable object, Sri Krishna, is transcendental. It is not possible for a common man to understand. Common men do not even have the capacity. After saying this, Lord Chaitanya read the famous verse of Madhavendra Puri. That verse is just like the moon. It has spread illumination all over the world. Continuous rubbing increases the aroma of Malaya sandalwood. Similarly, consideration of this verse increases one's understanding of its importance. As the Kaustuba Mani, or jewel, is considered the most precious of valuable stones, this verse is similarly considered the best of poems dealing with the mellows of devotional service. Actually, this verse was spoken by Srimati Radharani herself, and by her mercy only was it manifest in the words of Madhavendra Puri. Only Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has tasted the poetry of this verse. No fourth man is capable of understanding it. This indicates that Srimati Radharani, Madhavendra Puri, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are capable of understanding the purport of this verse. Nobody else. Just the three of them. No fourth man. Madhavendra Puri recited this verse again and again at the end of his material existence. Thus, uttering this verse, he attained the ultimate goal of life. That's when he was leaving his body. That's another story of Madhavendra Puri told. Later in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, one famous disciple of Madhavendra Puri had many disciples. Amongst them were Advaitacharya, Nityananda's, it's actually Nityananda, he was more Lakshmipati Tirtha, but and I said he was also a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri was a disciple of Lakshmipati, and so many other, Paramananda Puri, so many great devotees, Ishwara Puri, all disciples of Madhavendra Puri, and so many others. So like that, Madhavendra Puri, at the time of his departure, Ishwara Puri was there, and so was another one. What was his name? Who knows what his name was? Ramchandra Puri. You heard that name? Ramchandra Puri? And they illustrated, Ramchandra Puri is actually an eternal associate, but he was again taking the part to show the result of the wrong attitude. It's another, no time to talk about, but the wrong attitude in relation to the spiritual master. Ishvara Puri had the right attitude. The difference between challenging and submission. Pride. And so on. And this is the verse. Dino daya vramasahe Mathuranatha Kadavalokshase Hridayam Tva Alokakataram Daita Pramyatikim Karonam. O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? There's a very important purport by Srila Prabhupada, which we'll read. The uncontaminated devotees who strictly depend on the Vedanta philosophy are divided into 4 sampradayas, or transcendental parties. Out of the 4 sampradayas, the Sri Madhvacharya Sampradaya was accepted by Madhavendra Puri. Thus he took sannyas according to parampara, the disciplic succession, beginning from Madhavacharya down to the spiritual master of Madhavendra Puri, the Acharya named Lakshmi Pati. There was no realization of devotional service in conjugal love. There was no realization of that. Up to the point of Vatsalya Bhav and reverential devotion, maybe, in terms of the mixed devotion of Madhurya, that of the wives of Dwarka. But the mood of the gopis of Vrindavan was not manifest. It was not present. And even that of any kind of conjugal love was barely present anywhere. It was mostly reverential devotion. Not even Vatsalya Bhav. Some of the lines, Nimbarkaracharya's lines, Vishnu Swami, there was more presence there of at least Vatsalya Bhav, parenthood towards Krishna. They worshipped Gopal, Ladu Gopal. Very common in the Gujarat state. Everyone worshipped Ladu Gopal. Parental affection. First class. But it's not the same as the conjugal relationship. It's absolutely transcendental and perfect. But this perfect, it's impossible to conceive. Perfect, more perfect, more perfect, more perfect, more perfect, there's no end. And even within conjugal love, there's no end to the more perfect forms of conjugal love. So Madhavendra Puri introduced the conception of conjugal love for the first time in the Madhvacharya Sampradaya, and this conclusion of the Madhvacharya Sampradaya was revealed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he toured southern India and met the Tattvavadis who supposedly belonged to the Madhvacharya Sampradaya. When Sri Krishna left Vrindavan and accepted the kingdom of Mathura, Srimati Radharani, out of ecstatic feelings of separation, expressed how Krishna can be loved in separation. Thus, devotional service in separation is central to this verse. Worship in separation is considered by the Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya to be the topmost level of devotional service. What did Prabhupada say? What did Srila Prabhupada just write?
Topmost level of devotional service.
Pardon?
Topmost level of devotional service.
Is what?
Without separation.
Yeah, the worship, listen carefully, this is the centermost point, you could say, of our Siddhanta. Worship, not everyone agrees with this, but this is our Sampradaya. This is the highest form, this is the mood of Radharani. Worship in separation is considered by the Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya to be the topmost level of devotional service, the topmost. Worship in separation. According to this conception, the devotee thinks of himself as very poor and neglected by the Lord. Thus he addresses the Lord as Dina Dayadra Nath, as did Madhavendra Puri. He's the Lord of the most fallen or poverty-stricken. Such an ecstatic feeling is the highest form of devotional service. He's not just the Lord of them, he's most compassionate to them. But that doesn't mean you have no money. That's not the meaning exactly. Some people misinterpret it. Know what it means. It means that those who are absolutely devoid, they feel they have nothing. They're just, without Krishna, they're completely devoid. They have no other, there's nothing else but Krishna in their hearts. They're poverty-stricken with everything else. Thus he addresses the Lord as Dina Dayadra Nath, as did Madhavendra Puri. Such an ecstatic feeling is the highest form of devotional service. So Krishna had gone to Mathura. Srimati Radharani was very much affected. She expressed herself thus: "My dear Lord, because of your separation, my mind has become overly agitated. Now tell me, what can I do? I'm very poor and you are very merciful. Kindly have compassion upon me. Let me know when I will see you again." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always expressing the ecstatic emotions of Srimati Radharani that she exhibited when she saw Uddhava at Vrindavan. This is the whole purpose of Lord Chaitanya's appearance, to experience this ecstatic mood of Radharani, which Madhavendra Puri himself was experiencing. And Madhavendra Puri planted that seed which was tasted and distributed by Lord Chaitanya when it fructified. Therefore, Vaishnavas in the Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya say that the ecstatic feelings experienced by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his appearance came from Sri Madhavendra Puri through Ishwara Puri. All the devotees in the line of the Gaudiya Madhya Sampradaya accept these principles of devotional service. So we should also understand that, in a sense, we may not, of course we're not experiencing anything like that, but in another sense we're experiencing another kind of separation in this world. And if the more we're grateful, the more we have a feeling of gratitude, of the good fortune to be able to chant, serve, associate, and so on, the more one will experience an attachment to Krishna. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited this verse, he immediately fell to the ground unconscious. He was overwhelmed and had no control over himself. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell to the ground in ecstatic love, Lord Nityananda quickly took him on his lap. Crying, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then got up again. Exhibiting ecstatic emotions, the Lord began to run here and there, making resounding noises. Sometimes he laughed, sometimes he cried, sometimes he danced and sang. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not recite the whole verse. He simply said, "Ai Dina, repeatedly. Thus he could not speak, and profuse tears were in his eyes. Trembling, perspiration, jubilant tears, shock, fading of the body luster, disappointment, moroseness, loss of memory, pride, joy, and humility were all visible in Mahaprabhu's body. This verse uncovered the door of ecstatic love, and when it was exhibited, all the servants of Gopinath saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dance in ecstasy. When many people crowded around Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he regained his external senses. In the meantime, the offering to the deity had been finished, and there was a resounding arati performance. When the deities were laid down to rest, the priests came out of the temple and offered all 12 pots of sweet rice to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or Kheer. When all the pots of sweet rice, remnants left by Gopinath, were placed before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became very pleased. In order to feed the devotees, he accepted 5 of them. The 7 remaining pots were pushed forward and delivered to the priest. Then the 5 pots of sweet rice the Lord had accepted were distributed among the 5 devotees, and they ate the prasadam. Being identical with the Gopinath deity, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had already tasted and eaten the pots of sweet rice. Yet just to manifest devotional service, he again ate the pots of sweet rice as a devotee. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed that night at the temple, engaged in congregational chanting. In the morning, after seeing the Mangalarti performance, he departed. In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally tasted with his own mouth the transcendental qualities of Gopalaji, Gopinath, and Sri Madhavendra Puri. Thus, I have described the transcendental glories of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's affection for his devotees and the highest limit of ecstatic love of God. One who hears this narration with faith and devotion attains the treasure of love of Godhead at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Praying at the lotus feet of Rupa and Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Madhavendra Puri ki jai. You can read more in the later chapters regarding the pastime with Ramchandra Puri. It's a very important topic. We don't have time tonight. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. Oh, I hope you dream of Madhavendra Puri tonight. It would be nice, wouldn't it? But of course, we have to be careful if we have similar dreams to that. We can't think, oh, you know, Madhava woke me up and told me to go down to the altar. And they've hidden some, I don't know, whatever. Take it down to the marketplace or something. More likely for yourself. Oh, you know, where are you going, Prabhu? Oh, last night, Madhava, in my dream, they told me I had to go, you know. I don't know if you have sandalwood. Do you have sandalwood in trees here in the Philippines anymore? They're all gone, I think. Malaysia used to have hundreds of thousands, they're all gone. They've all been, you know, used, taken away. And still in India they have. Oh, I have to go. The Lord told me last night I have to go down to Mindanao and collect, you know, 30 kilos of sandalwood paste. We're not Madhavendra Puri. He told me that he wants to move. He doesn't want to stay in Makati. He told me to carry him over to Taguig right now and install me in a temple over there. Maybe that would come. Not right now, though. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi. What's your name? What's your name?
Naveen Krishna.
Naveen Prabhu. Where's your father?
Working.
Working. Where's your mother?
Working also.
You're alone?
No.
Oh, he came with you. Wonderful. Wonderful devotee. Naveen. Haribol. Hare Krishna. She had her hand up. She had her hand up. What was the question?
If you can relish your experience when you visited Shira Gopinath.
Well, my experience, my relish, I don't know if my experience was just a very, I think just a feeling of it's a long time ago. I've been there 2 or 3 times. There was Sabag Swami one time. But I haven't been there this century. It was in the 90s. And then we've gone 2 or 3 times in the 90s. It's a long time ago, 20, 30 years ago. And I just felt like you were not on this world. You were in a different world altogether. Just not this world. It wasn't like being in it was like a different world altogether. I don't know, I'm not going to make something up, but you definitely felt very close to the pastime itself and towards Lord Chaitanya and his associates. visiting there because we definitely discussed it. Chaitanya Charitamrita when we were there, that's for sure. There was not much there. There was hardly even one dharamshala. It's a very small place to stay. There was one Gaudiya Math, small Gaudiya Math temple there. I don't know what's there now. It was very, very simple. There's the Samadhi of Rasikananda, Prabhu there, and a few other places I can't remember. Wonderful experience. And to honoring that kheer, they give you a donation, they give you kheer. And it's just, the material world just fades away. It just fades away. There's no words anymore. We realize all of these problems which we have are just bad dreams. They're not reality. What to say? You have some other experience there?
We have Iskcon temple there now also.
Is Iskcon temple there?
Yes.
I guess it must have changed since then. As soon as Iskcon arrives on the spot, things do change.
It's still quite small and peaceful, but like.
Yeah, it's not yet on the main route. Ekachakra has become a main route destination. It didn't used to be, but now it is. And Ramuna will become for sure. Yeah, I've heard a lot of talk about it coming up. Oh, I don't know. Let's see.
You told us that there are only 3 persons.
Huh?
You have told us that there are only 3 persons who understand this sloka.
Only 3 persons, yeah.
How about Sri Gadadhar Pandita?
Gadadhar Pandit, well, he's an expansion. It's the different mood. He's in a different mood. I don't understand these things. How can we? You can repeat words that you hear from others. Yeah, he's in a different mood. Also, simultaneous one and difference of some kind. What can we say? This is Krishnadas Kaviraj's words. Gadadhar. It's what's left after Krishna steals everything from Radharani. Whatever that means. Steals her heart. Gadadhar Pandit in one sense is non-different than Lord Chaitanya. He appears specifically or his presence is specifically to experience or enhance Lord Chaitanya's feelings of separation. And he is also an expansion or a form of Radharani, so in one sense he's non-different than Radharani, so he's not really a different person. He's that part of Radharani. This is I don't know, you probably know the words. Even if we know the words, what does it really matter? You have to come to that platform of pure devotion. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Premanandi. Hare Krishna.